It's a good choice from Leeds Fest, but it's a bad choice for my ears.
What's your top act of the weekend? And if you dare say the 1975.
Do you know, I felt pretty like emotional at the end of Leeds Fest. Hello, welcome back to the Man Overboard podcast, episode 50. Whew, I'm still in shock we've made it to episode 50.
I know, I can't even... You know, when you think back of all the episodes that we've done so far, I think, how have we had 50 episodes worth of shit to talk about?
It is actually pretty mental. Let's start a podcast, bro.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we've had like an amazing run of guests recently. A lot of our last few episodes have been with different amazing people. And you're in for a treat because it's just me and Tim today. And I feel like it's been a hectic summer.
It has.
And we've not really caught up about a lot of it. But we were both at the same event this weekend.
We were.
And that was Leeds Festival. Well, Reading and Leeds, same artists, all that stuff. But Leeds Fest, what were your thoughts on Leeds Fest?
I think overall, for me personally, I only went for the one day last year. In comparison to that one day, what I saw, the food, the people as well, seemed like it was a lot more organised this year. Mm-hmm. Also with getting in and out, it was very like seamless. There was no issues with, getting out the car park, people telling you where to go. I mean, some of the staff didn't really know where you were supposed to be. If you went up to someone and said, whereabouts is this? And they didn't know, they would just be like, maybe that way. And they just send you a random direction.
That's pretty standard though.
But, you expect that because they've got thousands of people working it. They're not all going to know exactly where this thing is. But I mean, overall, better than last year.
Yeah, I think the first point I wanted to make just on Leeds Festival, Reading as well, I suppose. Last year there was a lot of complaints about fires and stuff, a lot of stuff going on in the campsite at night and people getting injured potentially, and obviously a few people died as well last year, I believe, throughout both festivals. I know one person did at Leeds.
Fucking hell.
Last year, this is.
Yeah.
And I thought this year the organisation of the festival in terms of security and people's safety was a lot better, seemingly.
There was a lot more searches as well. They were a lot more kind of hot on to not allowing people in with bags and actually checking them.
Oh yeah, I know, because every time I went in from the car, I got fully searched and I never actually had anything on me. I swear to God, I had nothing, not once. And I had to get searched every time. It got to the point where the security guards were like, oh, where's your pink jacket gone? We really liked that one.
Yeah, because you become a household name.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I've got these sweet and juicy ciders, but no ket, sorry. But and on the campsites as well, because I don't know how much of the campsites you actually saw. I don't know if you walked through much.
Didn't go to the campsites.
So they introduced something this year. It was like, I don't know what exactly they were called, but they were like safe spaces, like kind of just little huts. And there was one or two on each campsite where there was like volunteer security type people, where if you were a bit too drunk or whatever, or you'd taken some drugs and needed some help, or you were lost, you could go to them for help. So in previous years, they had volunteers that just walked around anyway. But because these were like set places, I actually saw a few people using these. And I think in terms of keeping people safe, especially like if someone might have overdosed, etc., it's way better if everyone knows that there's this set place like within 5 minutes of their tent, instead of having to go try find someone, and then it's like a proper mission. You're not sure if it's the right person. People might think they get in trouble, but these were just like safe spaces. And I saw them handing out sun cream and waters, and it's just a good idea to have at a festival.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had those in place, but I mean, especially if you're pissed off your head and you can't find your tent, or you've lost your mates, you're tripping out, something like that, then it's definitely good to have a safe space to go to, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I've not heard of any deaths this year yet, so hopefully something like that has actually made a pretty visible difference.
But yeah, you'd hope if somebody was having a really bad time, then they could have gotten the help that they needed and so on.
Do you know, compared to last year as well, last year seemed really hectic at Leeds Festival, especially on the last night. I wasn't too worried about the fires and stuff, but more so there was a lot of people that were heavily fucked up, whether it be drugs or alcohol. And that seemed to be a little bit calmer. I didn't see as many people throwing up and falling over and stuff. I didn't see quite as many paramedics going about, which it's got to be a positive. And I think it's the combination of those things which led to the vibe of the weekend overall being a lot better. And I think it was tough for him to do that because last year was still, I think it was the second proper one after lockdowns and stuff, so people were more up for it. It was also blaringly sunny all weekend, whereas this weekend it were a bit grey sometimes. It even rained once or twice.
It had nice bits of gusts of wind as well. It was really fucking cool.
But
I liked that.
Compared to last year, it was tough. It's like they've got a lot to live up to. Because I remember when we did a similar episode this time last year, me saying it was probably my favourite festival I've ever been to, and it made it like the summer of my life. And I would probably say a similar thing this year, but for like different reasons. Speaking of which, I wanted to move on to the artists at Reading and Leeds. So we'll start with you. Yeah. Out of everyone there, I think, do you know, whenever I see like a tier list or a podcast or something, everyone always does it from worst to best just to build up the hype. Do it from best to worst.
Do it from best to worst.
Do it from best. Tell the people who was the best.
So I mean, I was only there on the Friday and the Sunday. I didn't do the Saturday as I was down in London watching Rev Pro, which we'll get to. But I'd probably say the best act of the weekend for me. So I'm going to go off not necessarily the band that I like the most, because it would probably be Joey Valance and Bray that I would say was the best act, but genuinely Kenny Hoopla, which I was very surprised at, because I mean, he's not an artist that I actively listen to, but the music that I've heard of his, I've enjoyed. So I know that I like his vibe and I like his general style. But then seeing him on stage, every song that they played, I was like pumping my fist to. Like I didn't even know them. And you know it's good when you don't know a song, but you're still vibing with it. His drummer was off the chains, absolutely off the chains. Left-handed too, which was interesting. He had his snare and the hi-hat on the right side instead of the left side, rare. So that was cool. The only issue was he didn't have a bassist with him. He just had a guitarist and a drummer, and there was no bassist, but the bass was still being played. And I like watching bassists because I am a bassist, so it was a bit like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah, that is a bit.
But overall, his his energy on stage, how he performed, he's spinning around all the time. He's climbing the truss. He had mic issues at one point though, because for some reason that stage just kept fucking up the mics. I don't know what was going on with that stage.
That happened before, didn't it?
Yeah, and the vocals also kind of mixed into the instruments. Like it wasn't mixed very well on this, that, and the other. But at one point, the mic had dropped out for him. And so the band carried on playing, and it was the end of a song. So the drummer kept doing those little fills, it was like, and the guitarist was just playing chords. Then he came back out and did like the love heart sign with his hands, and then walked off really slowly. And everyone was like, "Fucking hell, is he genuinely that annoyed that his mic's cut out?" Like he looked really pissed off, and then he came running back out with the working mic. He fucking trolled everyone. But yeah, I'd say Kenny Hoopla is probably up there.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I seen Kenny a year ago or so in Key Club, and the energy was unbelievable.
And
Similar things, though.
Yeah, he came into the crowd at Leeds Fest as well, did a bit of crowd surfing.
I literally held him up while he was crowd surfing and stuff, and he was singing at the same time. He's such a great performer, and I think of that new wave of pop punk, Kenny Hoopla is definitely one of the best.
Oh, yeah. And it's one of those things where, when you see an artist live and you gain a new respect for them. It was definitely that for me, because I knew he was good, and I knew you liked him, and I've got a couple of mates who like him, but I've just never fully gotten into him. But then after this weekend, I'm definitely going to go listen to his discography.
I really love him. I always have. And I think it speaks the world. Obviously, he's done a few songs with Travis Barker, but he also supported Blink for a number of days in America. So clearly the scene loves him, and he's got that respect with the other artists. And I mean, it was him and Joey Valance that supported Limp Bizkit in Halifax as well.
Yeah, so it was.
He's going to be one of the next big ones. He's already pretty big, but he's going to be one of the next big ones.
What about you? What's your top act of the weekend? And if you dare say the 1975 again, it's null and void.
Well, last year was definitely the 1975. This year, do you know? It's actually it's a really tough choice. But my favourite act of Reading and Leeds this year, 2023, was. I'm just
fucking all right.
I'm trying to make my mind up. I'm going Foals. So Foals. They're a band I've seen a couple of times, and the energy's always there. But we put a bit of effort in for Foals to try get near the front. So we got there like half an hour, 40 minutes before their set, and got a really good spot. And just the vibes were immaculate. I think that they had one of the most impressive stage setups of the weekend. So the lighting was moving around, and they had like an extra screen behind them, which added another vibe to it. And just Yanis, who's the lead singer, his performance was unbelievable. Like, Foals have a really good mixture of, they've got some songs that are quite heavy, really get the crowd going, and then their other songs aren't particularly light. They're more just like indie bops. So they've got some that are a bit grittier, and then the other ones, still people are mosh pitting and stuff. They're heavy enough for that. So just the whole gig was amazing. Nice little sunset at Leeds Fest on a Saturday night. And I knew I was going to see Sam Fender 10 minutes after. But it was like, with the stage setups at Leeds Fest, it was a tough decision for me because I love Sam Fender as well. I've seen him multiple times, and it's like I've got to pick one of them to get a good spot for. And if it's going to be the later act, the main headliner, then that means I'm going to have to probably miss 20 minutes of the other headliner. And I thought, I can't do that to the boys' Foals.
Yeah. And I also think if you're going to go to main stage, you also sometimes have to get there an hour or so earlier to even get a good spot. So you kind of think, do I get a good spot for the one that's easier, or do I go earlier for the main stage? Maybe miss a whole act before it, kind of thing. So no, I think that's the right choice.
There was a really funny picture that came out of Foals as well. I'll put it on the YouTube video where I'm walking out of a mosh pit, right? Like walking back towards one of my friends, and for some reason I'm like that. I'll put it on the video and if it's on a clip. And like I look like that. I look like a bit like Kevin McAllister actually.
That's another one I need to make.
But I look like an old painting. What's the? Is it just called Screaming Face?
It's the Scream.
Yeah, just the Scream painting. And Tim did a fantastic Photoshop of me on the Scream painting, so it'll make sense if you're watching this, and if you're on Spotify, the video will be on there anyway, so get it up for a second. But yeah, I thought that was particularly funny. But Foals, top tier. Who was your favourite headliner, though, out of the headliners you saw?
Well, I only saw Billie and Killers, and I would say it would go to Killers.
Didn't you
personally.
see? Oh, no, you weren't there for Fender Falls Day. So Billie... We would have seen Imagine Dragons.
No.
So we said previously on the podcast that, I said that Imagine Dragons are the worst Leeds Fest headliner in years. And you know, when I went on the TikTok in between festival days and they just played, there was loads of abusive comments towards us saying, well, did you see how big the crowd was? People clearly love them.
Oopsie.
We were getting added.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Like, they have that one song that was on, what's it called? They made it for that Arcane.
Radioactive.
No, they made it for Arcane. That the memories.
Oh yeah.
That one,
Yeah.
And I could hear that playing from the fucking guest area, which was like the other side of Leeds Fest. So to actually still be able to make out that music, I was like, okay, so that they are the headline spot, so they are pretty fucking loud. But as we were walking past them, I was kind of eyeballing the crowd, and it does. I still have the question: who the fuck is Imagine Dragons' key demographic? Genuinely,
Do you know what they did?
what they aiming at?
They spent all the money for that day on Billie Eilish and went, shit, we need another one. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And so they just picked them because a lot of the people that were going to Billie Eilish will have been people taking their children. And they'll think, oh, Imagine Dragons are on as well. I know a few of their songs from the radio. That makes it even better. So then they'll get to see both. It's a good choice from Leeds Fest, but it's a bad choice for my ears.
Bad choice for my sanity.
I did actually see him for like 30 seconds when I walked past.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Yeah,
Like, he's not a bad singer and stuff. It's just the music isn't for me. And
music, I don't know who it's for. I don't know who it's
for people who only listen to the radio.
Yeah.
But speaking of the other headliner on that day, that was Billie Eilish. And I feel like we disagreed on this one a little bit. So I went to Billie Eilish thinking, well, she's probably the biggest act of the weekend, realistically. She's someone I've never seen before, which I'd seen all the other headliners bar Billie Eilish and Imagine Dragons, but I don't count them. So I'd seen all the other headliners.
That's not a real band.
So I was thinking, this is the one that could surprise me. This is the one that could be really good. What were your thoughts on her? Is that it?
That's about it. Yeah. I think underwhelmed would be the term I'd use, but I wasn't expecting anything. You know, I was going to see it. Like, I enjoy some Billie Eilish songs. I enjoy the odd one here and there. I liked Bad Guy. But her newer, sadder, sad girl stuff just obviously doesn't vibe with me. Like, that's not my cup of tea, so to speak. And she did do a lot of her newer stuff. And I say her newer stuff. I only know songs off her first album, so she's had. I don't even know how many albums she's had since then. But yeah, basically any song that wasn't off that album, I didn't really know it anyway. So the main issue I had with Billie Eilish was, and understandably why she was doing it, I'm not saying that she shouldn't have done it, was the amount of lip syncing that she was doing, and I get it. Because a lot of her tracks, you know, she's vocalized, her voice has got weird voice, like tones on it and all that shit. So it's obviously not something that she can do live. And also a lot of her songs are built around those like vocal lines. So they have to be delivered perfectly in time at the right tone, in the right volume. And most of it's like her whispering. So for her to actually be able to do that live, I get why she opts for the lip syncing. But then in turn, I think there's then too much limp biscuit. There's too much lip syncing going on there. And I don't know, I think, in my opinion, 25% is still too much of a set to be lip syncing. And I think she did a good 40-50% of the set lip syncing.
I don't think it was 40-50% personally.
You could very...
Or not lip syncing. Maybe there was backing vocals in some of it. But it wasn't like not singing at all.
No. But I think the other thing is you could tell when she started to sing again. Because the mic levels changed completely, and then her voice came out and you could actually hear her accent in her voice because it wasn't overproduced like the backing track was. So I think that... Again, I think I was being overcritical of the performance, but that was just because, it's not really an artist that I'm massively into. So
you can be.
Yeah.
So
but overall, decent.
I had the opposite effect. I had the opposite. I don't even know what fucking word to say.
Opinion.
Yeah. Well, no, because your opinion wasn't particularly bad. I had different thoughts. So
okay. Yeah.
I thought, I get why a lot of artists do that, where they're kind of singing over the backing vocals sometimes, but I was really impressed in the moments where she wasn't. Mm-hmm. She was such a good singer that I thought, all right, well, if she did that for the whole show, she'd probably lose a voice. Mm-hmm. And I really liked like the stage presence and the vibe of it and like the fireworks and stuff. And I thought the overall performance from her was probably my surprise of the weekend. Like, out of everyone I went to see, she was the one where I went, fucking hell, that was way better than I thought it'd be. Mm-hmm. Like, Foles were my act of the weekend, but Foles are always sick. I know that. I mean, I suppose Billie Eilish is one of the biggest artists in the world for a reason. Yeah. But I still wasn't expecting it to be quite on that level.
See, so I'm going to go against you on the whole performance thing of the stage show itself. I thought the stage show was pretty lackluster. She had some cool effects on the camera and that, but overall, what was it, a slant on a stage?
Yeah, but even like the Killers didn't do much more. The Killers had a couple sparkles come down.
Well, we can talk about the Killers in a sec, because I've got opinions on them as well. Good opinions of the Killers, though, for once. I actually enjoyed a headline act, which is something rare.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I expected Billie Eilish to be mediocre, and I thought she was a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I
expected her to be mediocre, and in my opinion, she was mediocre. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'd give her like 6.5.
Six respectable. Yeah, it's respectable. Yeah. So, the main headliners of the weekend for most people, I would say, is the Killers. What did you think of them?
I thought I forgot how many bangers the Killers have. Yeah. That's what happened during that show, because I'd be stood there and they start playing a song. I'd be like, I don't know this one, and then you'd start kicking into the words, and you start singing along to it, and you go, holy shit, I did know this song. Well, I mean, it was kind of like banger. Bullshit, banger, bullshit was kind of how they'd set it out, I found. So there was a couple of songs like in between the big songs that were like preachy God shit. But they are a Christian rock band at the end of the day, which is crazy to think about.
And most people don't know that the Killers are a Christian rock band.
No, and you wouldn't think it with a name like The Killers. It seems very anti-Christian.
Killing all the gays.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. But there's a band...
What? By the way, I'm bi, so don't cancel me.
Yeah, them as a band were really encapsulating. Their stage presence was really good. The frontman, Brandon Flowers,
yes,
he was
incredible, wasn't he?
He's so captivating. Like when he walks around, he keeps the energy going. He's got a very expressive face. Kind of looks like Jim Carrey.
Looks like Jimmy Carr.
Do you think Jimmy Carr?
A little bit.
I thought he's kind of got the expressions of Jim Carrey because they're like a really expressive mouth and it was wide.
I think just the name Jim got me onto Jimmy Carr.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, his overall stage presence, you're right, when he was just trotting about and stuff. And I liked when the crowd didn't interact with him maybe as much as he thought he would in certain moments. It didn't put him off. He just continued and tried again, and it always worked.
And they did. One of the coolest bits I thought was the little interlude they did before Mr. Brightside.
Oh, the weird version of it.
Yeah, where they did like a spacey version of it.
Because everyone was probably thinking, is this it?
Because I was thinking, I was like, am I misremembering the song? I was like, what part of the song is this? Because I couldn't figure out. I was like, I'm sure it starts with the guitar. And I was like, what the fuck? And then that little reprise ended. And then it came in with the... It was like, oh, shit, here we go.
Yeah, banging.
And, I can't fault him. I'd give him a solid 8.
See, Mr. Brightside is effectively the British national anthem at this point. And hearing that live with like however many 60, 70,000 people that are at Leeds Fest is it's just a fantastic experience. And I think it's an experience even people who claim not to like that song would enjoy. I was speaking to my old man about this the other day, and we were saying there's like a few moments in life, do you know, when like being a human is really sick and you're like, yo, everyone's together doing something. I was saying like at a gig when the big banger comes on and everyone's loving it, or like at a football match when someone scores and the whole crowd's loving it. And it's just that like, euphoric moment. And I think especially in the UK, there's not much more of a euphoric moment than when Mr. Brightside comes on.
Yeah.
Like,
and when you're watching The Killers, you are kind of asking yourself, you know, are we human? Or are we dancers?
oh God! But,
Yes.
when you said do the Killers have so many bangers, are we human? Mr. Brightside.
Like I forgot about Are We Human. I mean, I hate the song, but when it came out, I was like, oh yeah, they did this as well.
When We Were Young was a banger.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that you got a
that was the one I
boyfriend.
forgot. I forgot that was them. I thought that was somebody like fucking, I don't even know, Kaiser Chiefs or somebody like
and then
that.
they've
You know what I
got-
mean? Razorlight.
You got soul, but I'm not
Yeah,
a soldier.
I forgot that. I thought that was like Train or some shit like that.
To be
Yeah.
honest, throughout that Killer set, there was probably only like 4 songs that I didn't know word for word, but I was a huge fan when I was a kid. Like, one of their songs called Spaceman used to be one of my favourite tunes when I was little. I had it on, you ever have one of those MP3 players that was like a USB stick and you just plugged it into your computer and you could have like 30 songs on there or something. I remember having that Killer song on there and loving it. So it brought a tear to my eye that moment. Do you know, I felt pretty like emotional at the end of Leeds Fest.
Really?
I know this is a really weird thing. It's
I don't
not
think
that
it
weird.
is.
No, but I've had like the maddest summer. I've done like 3 full weekend festivals, probably another 3-day festivals, a bunch of gigs, been abroad a couple times. And I just knew that like when Killers were finishing Mr. Brightside, I was stood thinking to myself like, this is it now. Like no, not in a bad way.
No,
like I wasn't upset about it.
Yeah.
I was more thinking it's like the end of this run.
Make it sound like you're gonna fucking die.
This summer
This is it
period.
now. I'm gonna have to
To
kill
be
myself.
fair, I might. What we was in about before. My heart's going, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just stood there, and do you know when you're thinking this has actually been like some of the best few months ever. And I thought that last summer as well, which is really good. The fact that I'm having like this little competition with myself as to which summer can be better.
Well, I mean, I would know what you meant if I wasn't such a fucking hermit. Yeah. My summers do consist of a lot of gigs and festivals, but not as many as yours do.
Yeah, but
You're
I've taken it too far this year.
you take it too far every year.
Last year wasn't as bad.
No, it wasn't as bad, but every year you end up going, I wish I hadn't booked as much stuff as I do. And then you do it all, and then you're like, I wish I booked more every time.
I don't wish I booked more this year.
Do you not? Do you think it was the perfect amount?
I've
like,
done the right amount. Yeah. If not a little bit too much.
True.
Like I would have probably skipped on 1 or 2 of them, but there was some good opportunities in there. Like Park Life, for example. I got a day ticket for Park Life for like 60 quid. It was meant to be like 110, 120. Stuff
right,
like that.
it's
If
all
I see that and I get to see the 1975 for the 13th time this year, then I am buzzing. Speaking of the 1975, they were one of the best Reading and Leeds headliners of all time this weekend. They did their full self-titled album back to front. People were absolutely loving it.
Do you want me to comment on it?
Did you see any of them?
No.
Did you not even see them
yes,
for a second?
I did. I walked past them once Kenny had finished and I was going over to see the Killers. I walked past them and I looked at the stage and I thought, oh, he's got the black and white camera on again. Wow, really good stage show, guys. Nice one. Exactly the same as last year. Then carried on walking and went to the stage.
Anyway, as a big 1975 fan, I was actually like a huge fan of their first album when I was in high school. So that came out when I was like 13, 14. And I remember liking it and listening to it with some of my friends. And it was a good time for me because I've seen the 1975 loads in the last year, probably like 5 times. So seeing them at Reading and Leeds was different because they did half the set was songs that I've never seen them play ever throughout the years. So that was really fun. And I was with one of my close friends who absolutely loves them as well. So we were just singing along to every song. And I thought it was a different show in terms of, it was a bit of a throwback because they had the big box on there, which they've not had for years. But more so the fact, like, Matty Healy wasn't twisted. And every time I've seen them recently, he's either very clearly drunk or very clearly acting drunk. I'm not sure. It's probably a 50-50 every time.
Yeah.
Hey, he does drink. Like, he has said that it is alcohol, but he's probably putting it on a little bit for the stage show. But at Leeds, he seemed completely sober. And it seemed like the whole band was having a really fun time.
Yeah.
Like, do you know when you get that vibe that everyone's loving it? And like, he was talking about how he remembers going to Reading and Leeds. Obviously, they're from like Cheshire or something, so they probably did genuinely go to Leeds Fest a fair few times. And I heard from a few artists this weekend. I remember touching on another headliner. Sam Fender at one point said, this is why you should film Leeds instead of Reading. And I actually had that thought to myself because when I got home yesterday, I watched a video of Foles performing at Reading and the crowd looked absolutely dead. Like even right at the front, there was barely any movement. At Leeds, it was mental. Like I've been in a lot of mosh pits and some of them even I was a bit like, oh shit, this is bad. And I think maybe they should film Leeds one year. I know Leeds is probably more. There's more drugs.
I think
it's a bit younger.
The main reason why they don't film Leeds is because the amount of people at Reading compared to Leeds is, the numbers that they get.
It's only like 15, 20k more.
Yeah, I know, but it's much bigger crowds than that.
I just think, would you not rather paint a picture of it being more fun though?
I guess so, but I think it's.
Do you know what?
I don't know what they're going for, really. I don't really understand the reason why they do it. I mean, I get it. They probably put more money into the Reading one. They probably just overall the Reading one is their preferred one. They probably get more people there.
I think it's really easy to answer why they film Reading. London.
Fuck the north.
No, because it's next to London, so a lot of the big producers and stuff and TV people will work down there anyway. Second, most artists who bring out a special guest bring them out at Reading.
Yeah, they do.
Because they can get the mate to fly into London or come out of London, but they're not going to come up to fucking Leeds, are they? Like, I remember when Giggs a few years ago brought Drake out, brought him out in Reading, but didn't bring him out in Leeds. So it's like, obviously they're going to want to film that moment.
Yeah.
The crowd generally does seem a lot deader at Reading than it does at Leeds. And I'm sure there's some examples of acts that I've not spoke about where the crowd might be a bit better than it is at Leeds. It might flip a little bit for certain people who are maybe from down south, whereas Fender's from Newcastle.
Well, it was like, remember Baby No Money saying when he played last year, when he came up to Leeds, he was genuinely like, why does Leeds hate me? He was like, the crowd was so big at Reading, I've come up to Leeds and it's dead. He was basically saying, like, in comparison the two, he was like, Reading's massive, like a big party. So he came up to Leeds and he thought he'd done something wrong. People hadn't turned up to see him. Yeah. But again, I guess it's just, it depends on the artist and genuinely where their core fan base is, because I can imagine some artists are bigger down south than they are up north as well. So if you've got more fans down south, they're not going to trek all the way up to Leeds, are they? They're going to go to the Reading date.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, I guess it's hit and miss, but don't fucking know, to be honest with you.
I wanted to touch on the last headliner that we've not spoke about anyway. Obviously, another one that you missed, and that's Sam Fender, yeah. So, Fender, to be honest, and I'm a bit ashamed to admit this now, but when Sam Fender got announced as the Reading and Leeds headliner, I remember saying on the pod, I'm not sure that he's big enough to do that, because and for context, I love him. I've seen Fender 3 or 4 times. Even when he was proper small, I remember getting to a festival early before he'd even released a full EP, just so I could see him. But when he got announced, I was like, is he quite at that level, that headliner level? And then he was fucking unbelievable. He was so good, and I've seen so many positive reviews of it online and stuff, and a lot of people saying the same thing, because it was a bit of a risk. It's like this British guy that's not been around for as long as, like, Foles are a bit of smaller right now, but they've headlined before and they've been around for like a decade. They've got that fan base. But I think Fender I seen him in Belgium at Rock Werchter, and he was a bit rubbish. Not his performance particularly, but the vibe of the crowd and just the overall thing.
Do you even think he's as big over there than he is here?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I was going into Leeds Fest thinking, oh, well, last time I saw him, it was a bit crap, and, I don't know what to expect. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a massive crowd. Banging crowd, vibes were immaculate, performance was great, and I really do think that British crowd made a big difference for him. Like just it being, especially up north in England, people fucking love him, and there was so many Newcastle shirts.
I can imagine it hypes the artist up when the crowd wants you there, because I mean, I can imagine you can play a festival and there'll be people that just camp stages all day, and they'll just be seeing every artist that's on that stage, and when you play to a crowd that aren't there for you, it must be very, like, I don't know, disheartening. Kind of makes you not want to put as much effort in. Yeah. Obviously, you're still going to put the effort in, but when you've actually got the vibes of the crowd on your side, you know that you've got full control and you can do whatever you want and they're going to love you for it. So it kind of gives you a bit more freedom, can be more energetic. But I mean, my personal my personal view on Sam Fender headlining is that I genuinely really don't know, if any, Sam Fender music as a whole. So like you were saying, where you don't think he's big enough, I thought the same, because I was like, I don't even know. Yeah. You know what I mean? At least with the other headliners, I'm like, oh, I know them, I know of them, I know some songs by them. Sam Fender was the only one where I thought, don't really know much. But I mean, going off what you said, it sounds like he did perform a killer set. Which
he
is good.
He did. And I think since I said it as well, I kind of had to eat my words, because he went and completely sold out 2 nights at St. James's Park, which is like 100,000 people. And then he sold out Finsbury Park last year as well. So it's like he's done it. He's done everything. I wonder if he's ever going to actually take a break. He's just been going hard. But yeah, that's all the headliners. I wanted to not predict as such, more say
just have a little...
who our best wishes would be for headliners next year. If we could pick any headliner for Reading and Leeds 2024, who would it be?
Eminem. Yeah. No, realistically, probably not Eminem. I'd love it.
I mean, he's not done it for like
2013, 2017, 2024, maybe, but the man's well and truly hermited recently, so I can't see that.
They did say that they have got one of the headliners booked and confirmed, and it's someone that's headlined before, and they know they'll put on a great show.
They fucking dare say it's the 1975 again. I swear to fucking God. I will genuinely be furious. Like, I was a bit like, all right, yeah, they kind of filled in for Lewis Capaldi this year. If they genuinely are 3 years on a trot, I won't be happy, man.
1975 doing another album anniversary show at Reading and Leeds next year. Catch me fucking there in the crowd having the time of my life.
I mean, realistically, it's probably going to be some acts that... I mean, I hope that it's acts that are in a different genre and not what I would class... I don't know, because, I mean, the Killers aren't exactly TikTok-y.
No.
But I mean, a lot of... Okay, maybe not headliners, but in terms of the acts in general, I'm hoping for a bit more of a variety. Because, for example, on the Friday, I knew 6 or 7 artists as a whole. And, I mean, that's on me for not liking that genre of music. And I know the festival isn't aimed at me and, you know, my specific tastes. But the Sunday they had... plenty of acts that I liked.
There was loads. Sunday
yeah.
had mad variety.
The weirdest thing was, just off the topic, was Don Broco being on the Friday. And I know they're too big to play the alternative tent, but they would have fit so well on the Sunday in the alt tent. And for them to play second main stage, however far down they were, it just didn't feel right. And also, the crowd wasn't there for them.
No, the crowd wasn't really
at
there.
all. I feel like they're a bit too heavy.
The problem is, from Leeds Fest point of view, they'll want to split the couple of heavy artists up to persuade people to get weekend tickets. Because if you just put them all on one day, then you're just going to split the crowd, and you want it to be a bit more mixed.
Thing is, though, with the Friday, it literally was just Don Broco as the heavy act, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, it was like Don Broco on the Friday, Yumi at 6 on the Saturday, and then there was a few on the Sunday.
Yeah. But yeah, so back to who we think could be headlining it. Ooh, Imagine Dragons, maybe.
I know one that I know one that we'd both want is Blink.
Yeah, that's a fantastic shout, and I could see that happening.
Yeah, so
I could see that happening.
Most artists generally do like a solo tour when the new album comes out, and then they'll do a festival run the year after. Yeah. And Blink have headlined Reading and Leeds, I think 2 or 3 times. To definitely 2, maybe 3 times. They obviously did that surprise headline set at Coachella next year. So I think they're a pretty realistic shout.
That's a great shout, yeah, and not even just for us being hopeful. Genuinely is a good shout that they could be doing it. I mean, I would obviously love to see that. That would be fantastic. And I think if Blink were to do it, they would kind of maybe try and get some different headliners as well. They wouldn't go with the same old, you know, kind of poppy genre. They
well, do you know what I think?
Alternative stuff.
I think this year Leeds Fest aimed to get an older crowd in to keep the crowd calmer, and it kind of worked.
So I'd argue the opposite.
No,
I'd say they were aiming for a family-friendly vibe.
Well, yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. They aimed completely different.
You mean older as in like 40?
Yeah, as in like a couple of parents and a couple of like 30-year-olds that have always loved the Killers and still love Sam Fender and that type of indie music. So I'm thinking like Blink had captured that crowd, and then I was trying to think, what's a like another American band that had come over and do it, maybe a bit similar to the Killers, that would bring a similar age range in, but would also keep young people interested. And the first people that came into my head that I could see doing it was Kings of Leon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout. That is
because
a good shout.
then you'd have them two. If you had them on different days, that'd bring, and they'd be big enough to be main headliners.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah.
I thought maybe Kings of Leon.
It's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout.
I was putting some thought into this one, you know. I was proper thinking about it. So then you need a British indie band, two-door, easy. They won't, hear me out. They won't cost much to book.
Headlining though.
Sub-headlining though, like
Sub-headline.
two-door, like
I could see
and then
sub-headline.
Kings of Leon
Right,
on the other stage.
Okay, yeah, I can see
so,
that.
But it's a headliner still. I
Yeah.
don't think that they'd settle for not headlining anymore. They've got like 9 million monthly listeners.
No, yeah.
And they headlined all the indie festivals this year. So I think they're one. I'm going to ask you this first because I had a really good 2 suggestions for this. You need a rapper. Doesn't particularly have to be UK. You need a rapper or a hip hop artist. And I've been thinking of people who have been touring recently. They're active and they're big enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for it to be somebody, you know, absolutely out there, somebody that you wouldn't think would ever come through, like, I don't know, like fucking Lil Wayne or something crazy like that, but I can't see it. But the artist that I can see is Mr. 50 Cent.
He's my shout.
Yeah.
I thought 50 Cent, when he got announced at Parklife, there was so much hype. He did Reading and Leeds in the past in a time when it was more rock, and I think he got bottled off stage. I don't really? I think so.
Fuck me.
I'll check after this.
Yeah.
But I swear 50 Cent got a bad reception when he did it before, but now perfect.
Yeah.
Or my other shout, someone that's touring, that active, and they could book Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg, yeah, that would be cool.
Keep it calm as
that
well.
That would keep it calm, yeah. I think. I don't know how. I mean, it depends what you class as calm for Snoop Dogg, because I imagine there are some quite rowdy Snoop Dogg fans. It's either that or potentially Ice Cube.
I don't think he's.
I don't think he's big enough.
I couldn't name one Ice Cube song.
Yeah, he's touring. That's the only reason I'm thinking it.
Yeah, no.
It would be very cool to see these bands kind of slip in because, you know, Cypress Hill played Boardmasters, didn't they? Yeah. And they're touring with Ice Cube.
But even they didn't headline there.
No. I'm not saying that they would be headlining. I'm saying on the side of rap, it would be. I'd be really interested to see more kind of American rap show up at Leeds Fest.
Get a bit of Wu-Tang and Nas.
Well, I think it's pushing it too far there because, I mean, if we go with how they've clearly set it out and who they're aiming for, it's not going to be like that. But I mean, they had like Cordray and Nux, for example. I mean, I know he was filling in for
Nux is English,
Slow Tie. Yeah, but it was you know, it's kind of in that vein of new age rappers that are coming in. So maybe they'll go for some older age rappers.
Yeah,
who knows?
They've done it in the past, haven't they? So I could see them doing it again. And then there's 2 more shouts from me. Definitely need a female headliner.
Adele.
Nah, not Adele. Someone like you. Oh no, what was I doing? Somebody that you used to know. Shit, I fucked it up. I fucked up my own joke. Yeah.
That was Adele.
Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody.
True.
Lana Del Rey.
Oh no.
Why?
Taylor Swift.
Too big.
She's touring. Too big.
Too big. Way too big.
Too big?
Yeah.
Too big?
She'd do Glastonbury.
Yeah, she would.
Well, whereas Lana Del Rey, she just did like UK shows this year. I think she could do it.
Don't really know her.
Yeah, but that don't matter. They don't care about you.
That.
I don't really know.
No, I know. Yeah,
She's
all
just
right.
somebody-
Fucking Jesus, sorry. I meant more so.
She's just somebody that used to know.
Yeah, basically. I think that's too big of a shout.
Yeah, but I've not blown much of the budget yet.
Have you not?
Nah.
For the ones you're booking in?
Yeah. $2 are cheap. Kings of Leon will be relatively cheap nowadays.
It would be really interesting to see him try and do a Rage Against the Machine style thing again. Because they genuinely, like, they were committed to doing that. And obviously they pulled out, which fucked it up. But that's not on Reading
I don't think
Leeds.
they'll book. I don't think they'll book someone like that again, though.
No, that's what pissed me off the most is that they did pull out because if they'd have stayed in and it had popped off, you know, with Run the Jewels, with
they got
Denzel,
Metallica and Slipknot and stuff back.
It would have they would have gone, oh, okay, so there is still a hype for alternative. Which this year they basically said, right, fuck alternative. You can have a little tent over there.
That's a shout, though. It could always, every now and then, they do get a Metallica or a Slipknot or a Korn or something.
It won't be like that. The band, no, it won't happen, actually. So you know what you're saying about bands touring, and then after they finish touring, they do festivals. So Rammstein have been touring their insane arena show for like 2.5 years now. Like, I don't even know how long they've been touring this shit for. It looks insane. Like, they've got this whole cathedral that they build up, and it's all fire, and it looks crazy. But they've just ended that tour, so they've just come off the back end of it. So I can see them being in possible lineups next year.
Not for Reading.
Maybe
and Leeds,
not Reading and Leeds, though. No.
I could see Metallica, maybe.
Metallica
are
I'd
one
be
of
really
those.
fucking annoyed if they end up playing Leeds Fest as well, because I wouldn't want to go to that either.
I think the thing with Metallica is, to me, they're one of those bands that even people who don't like them would just still go watch them because they've seen the dad wearing a Metallica t-shirt and they've seen him on Stranger Things and shit like that.
I think Metallica are the only of the, like, you know, the 5 big thrash metal bands that are out there that could potentially still have a draw purely because of their pop culture, like, prominence, like with Stranger Things and that. But I do think it's a bit of a strange shout. I can't see it massively. But then again, Rage Against the Machine, like, that's a weird shout.
Yeah,
it was almost, but it almost felt like it was Rage Against the Machine were like, we want to do a UK show, and Leeds were like, fuck it, let's grab them, rather than actually. But then they had the rest of the day planned out nicely with that, with the people they had on main stage, and then obviously 1975 came in and did it.
Yeah.
Anyway, off that point, I would love to see them try and go down the alternative route again.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I'd like that.
I think if they had at least... the thing is, though, their Blink, that kind of covers it.
Yeah, it does. And I had one more shout. I think they'll get a younger wave pop punky. I think it'll be Machine Gun Kelly or Youngblood. Because they'd be able to book him.
Oh, you're right.
They'll be able to book, especially Youngblood. He'd really want to do it, even as the second headliner.
Would. Yeah, he'd do it for fucking out, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I don't mind Youngblood. Youngblood's a nice guy. He is a nice guy. And I don't like his music, but I like him as a person, so I'm all right with him. MGK has bad music and is a bad person, so, you know, I don't... If he's there, I'll be really
I could
upset.
definitely see it being Youngblood,
I could see it being... I'd love...
Not as the main headliner, I
think it'd be cool to see Youngblood getting that chance, to be fair.
Yeah, I like him.
Not that I wouldn't say he's fell off in recent years, but he's not been as prominent in recent...
No, I think he has,
in, like, the last year.
He went from doing academies 2 years ago to doing arenas last year in the UK.
No, I know.
So
No, I'm saying he's building up in that, but I mean, in terms of his name being in the general zeitgeist, I've not heard much about Youngblood in the past. Okay, let's say 6 months instead of a year.
Yeah.
It's not really been too much, but maybe he's working on an album. Maybe he's
he'll be
some
doing
promotions or something. But I think that's a good shout.
Yeah.
That is a good shout. I pray it's not MGK.
I could see it, though.
I could see it. I could see it. That's what upsets me the most. I could see it.
I get why everyone hates on MGK, but I've seen him live twice, and both times he actually put on a fantastic show, and he has some really sick musicians with him. Like, the drummer and the guitarist are fantastic. And as much as everyone hates on him, he sold more tickets at Leeds Arena than Kendrick Lamar did. Mm-hmm. So he's big enough, and I think he'd settle for the second headliner. And it's the type of person
I don't think MGK would settle for a second headliner.
I think he would at Reading and Leeds. Yeah.
Do you think?
They'd just do
you not think he'd think that he was?
Do you think he'd know the difference? Really?
Yeah, I suppose.
It'd get sold to him as like, oh, you're headlining on the same day as Blink-182.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I guess so. I don't think they put him on the same day as Blink.
No, it'd be different.
They'd separate it out, wouldn't they?
Yeah. But my actual, I think all of those could happen. We'll see. We'll see. We'll come back to this in like 2 months,
It'd be
3
cool
months.
to see something like Jaden there. JXDM.
Yeah. He was at Slammy, wasn't he? Last year, maybe?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, this year.
Yeah, he's good. I'd definitely like to see him there.
I don't know where he'd be on the bill, though.
My call out here is to the UK festival promoters, or to whoever does that When We Were Young fest. I'm looking into the camera. Yeah. Whoever does that When We Were Young... Whoever does that When We Were Young festival in America, do something like that in the fucking UK.
Fucking bring it over here now.
If you made the festival that you made over there, where the headliners were Blink and Green Day, and then you threw in like there was like All Time Low, Simple Plan. If you did that in the UK, even if Reading and Leeds, I know Reading and Leeds would never do this, but if their 3 headliners were like Blink, Green Day, and Paramore, it'd sell so many tickets. All 3 of those bands, even especially Paramore, have got fucking new fan bases. Mm-hmm. Like,
I mean,
there's Slam Dunk, but do a big scale, large pop punk festival in the UK.
That's what we need. We need either pop punk festival or alternative festival. It's just a mixture of the both. You know, you could have your emo bands in there, you got your yellow cards, and you've got your fucking
and you could throw Rage in there. You could throw anyone like that in there. Like I feel like there's Download that's pretty heavy, but they never get those big pop punk bands.
Download's more heavy metal, isn't it? It's more aimed towards like your thrashers and that kind of stuff. It's not really pop punk. It's not alternative. It's not really emo. But they are in there. They're thrown about the lineup. But as a whole,
is it Festival Republic that run Download as well?
I don't know.
Well, if not, or even if so, do it at the same place as Download. Just leave it set up for a week. Literally, do one of the more alternative pop punky type thing, and then do one heavy metal. It'd sell so well.
It'd sell
that America, the one in Las Vegas is sold out completely both times within like 24 hours.
Yeah, because it's an insane fucking land. You got like Good Charlotte, Sum 41, Blink 182,
and you saw that
fucking Green Day.
The Hella Mega Tour sold out every day in the UK.
Yeah.
Blink sold out every arena in the UK. Had to add extra days in Manchester and London.
They sold very
out
well.
It'd pop off.
What you're saying though about the size that it probably couldn't be Taylor Swift is because Paramore could headline Leeds Fest. And they're supporting Taylor Swift, which kind of shows the size that Taylor Swift's at now. Which I know it's not really a topic that we're on, but fucking hell, she's huge.
She's big,
that tour that she's doing, what's it called? The
Eras tour.
Yeah, that's it. That she's been doing for fucking.
Have you seen the dates
Christ.
in the UK?
Yeah,
she's sold out like 15 nights at different stages. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And the price of the tickets that you have to pay to get in, just because all the lower ones sell out straight away, you have to pay for your VIP. That's like 350 quid, and then the stage show that she's put on is also huge and insane. But we're not talking about Taylor Swift now. I just wanted to hark on that comment. But I think as a whole, if we in the UK could get ourselves a nice Slam Dunk's almost there, but it's not quite.
They've never had that big one.
Slam Dunk doesn't have the money
to invest and risk it.
It doesn't. Well, no, it doesn't have the money that like Download or Leeds Fest does. You know what I mean? So they can't get the massive headliners.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that's
if they risked it all on Blink and getting a bigger stage and stuff, they might go bust. So they can't. I get it.
I don't think it would even be a risk for them to get Blink. I think it's more so the fact that they probably can't sell. They probably don't have the capacity to cover.
Yeah, that's why they'd have to get a new. They'd have to do it at a new.
Or they'd have to increase the price or something crazy like that. And I just don't think that would work very well. So it needs to be something or just do it somewhere in Europe, just somewhere close to England, please. Just anywhere. Bring I think the when we were young tour. Hopefully, we'll end up touring a little bit.
It's not a tour though at the minute. It's just 2 nights in Vegas.
No, but I mean, how
Hella Mega did.
Download then exists. There's now Download Spain and Download Italy and Download.
Well, it's the
France.
same with Slam Dunk, isn't it? There's a Download Italy and a Slam Dunk France and Italy as well now.
Yeah.
So
if we could get that somewhere, I mean, I would probably for that lineup, I would probably go to mainland Europe.
I'd go to Germany
that
or
festival.
France. I could imagine it happening in Germany out of all the countries.
Yeah. I mean, Belgium, that'd be good.
Yeah, Belgium,
very nice place.
But Leeds Festival.
Yeah, Leeds Festival's all right.
That's that.
So
you missed the Saturday of Leeds Festival because you went to a completely different type of event. Do you want to jump into that?
Yes, I went down to watch Revolution Pro Wrestling at the Copperbox Arena in London.
You've been on that wrestling hype recently.
I've been on that wrestling hype.
Where did that reignite from?
So I think it was my mate invited me to go through to an event called 1PW, which is One Professional Wrestling, which is one of the the two big UK wrestling foundations are 1PW and Rev Pro. So I went to one of those and I just got caught up in the hype and was like, oh, this is sick. And now I've actually seen them. My mates were talking about it in the group chat all the time. Now I understand the wrestlers and who they are and what's going on.
You got in the storylines.
That's it. That's the important bit. And also it was kind of, when I was younger, I loved wrestling. I got to about 12, 13, 14-ish, and I started to get that kind of sense of, nah, this is fake, this isn't real. And I don't know where it came from, but I couldn't get past it. And it was only in the past couple of years that I've actually realised, not gone back to what I was where as a kid, where I thought it was real. And then, you find out and you get a bit disheartened. But more so how the fuck, even if it's, of course it's scripted. They're going to kill each other if it wasn't.
When people say wrestling isn't real, it's scripted. Obviously, it's scripted. It's meant for people's entertainment, but it's still...
But they're still doing the fucking shit.
It's still painful as fuck.
They're still throwing each other around.
They're literally risking their lives for people's entertainment.
It's insane.
And they've got to be better athletes than most other athletes are. Yeah. And they've got to do it on a more regular basis.
Yeah. And they've got to be able to fucking act as well to sell the fucking storyline. So, as a whole, I'd properly back into it now, which is great. But I went down to watch Rev Pro at Copper Box, and it was definitely the best wrestling event I've been to date. But like I say, I've only been to, this is my fourth or third one. So, there wasn't too much to be compared to. And where I was sat was ringside, third row back,
so you were
right
real
near
close.
the edge. So where the wrestlers exited, they walked past us to the side. So you could see, when they're being beaten up and they're running out like that. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. There was a few highlights. I'll just quickly go through them. Leon Slater, who you saw at Brudenell. Yeah.
Really young.
18 years old, and he is doing some fucking insane shit. He is going to get fucking signed up sometime soon. AEW are going to grab him, because I don't think he'll go to WWE. I feel like people that are in Rev Pro and in 1P Dub are a lot more like, fuck WWE. There is a general feel of fuck that
I think if you're in one of those organisations and either of them come knocking, you're going to say yeah.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Most people.
Yeah, I guess so, but people like Ospreay. But then again, people aren't as good as Ospreay.
He's built himself to that level.
Yeah, he's world class. He's a fucking fantastic wrestler, but we'll get on to him. There was, he won his fight against Dan Maloney. Insane that he's 18. That fucking blows my mind. Ricky Knight Jr. versus Zack Sabre Jr. That was pretty cool. They're both technical wrestlers. And then Zack Sabre won with a series of sleeper holds, which was insane to see. It was like
strange.
5 sleeper holds he kept kicking out of, and then eventually got into
That's an odd way to end a match.
It is, yeah. There was a lot of Japanese wrestlers there this time as well, which was amazing to see.
It's a different style of wrestling, isn't it?
Yeah. I think they came from NJPW, the Japanese wrestling. And there was Luke Jacobs versus Tomohiro Ishii. And Ishii's like this old school. He looked like he was pushing 50, like maybe even older. And he's just walking around the ring really slowly, but really like dominating play.
Right, like he's
one of those wrestlers where you could tell the match was set up because he hadn't done a match in a while, was set up that he was going to win. So whenever Luke was doing the slaps on him, he was just doing the classic. And then Luke was going, what? Why is it not hurting him? That load of shit. And, throwing each other around, these two big guys, seeing that's always impressive. And overall, that fight was very entertaining. There was a shitload of pins, I think 9 or 10, and it just kept coming out on one count. Then they'd pin the other one and back and forth. Michael Oku versus Trent Seven was fucking insane. It was a bit boring in terms of the fight that was going on, but they both had managers with them. Well, not managers. They both had somebody on the edge of the ring. And then it ended up with Trent Seven putting this female wrestler through a table. And it was supposed to be somebody else, and he got the wrong person. God. And then they botched the table spot that they had for Michael Oku, and you could feel the ground shake. He was supposed to go through a table, but you could just hear
he missed.
Like you just felt it, and they both went.
This is what we're saying about wrestling. There's those dangerous moments that happen all the time.
When you watch it live, you'd kind of go, fuck.
Is he all right?
Is he dead? Because the paramedics ran straight over.
When I was younger, I was watching like a really amateur wrestling show in somewhere in Bradford, which is questionable anyway. And someone actually tried doing a swanton bomb onto someone outside the ring, and they missed and broke their neck. And I was like sat second row back, and they just had to like stop the whole show and get him. Like he survived, but he was hurt.
Well, I mean, shit like that can happen all the time. You botch something, and then
I was like 12 though, and I was like, what the fuck?
Who was it who fell?
Owen Hart.
That was it. Yeah. Like shit like that can happen all the time, and people are just like, yeah, but it's all scripted, and it's like. Yeah, so is pretty much all reality TV. Like, what do you want? But then the match of the night, fucking big Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi. And that was great. When they played before, it was a top 10 match. When they did it at the Tokyo Dome, like it was top 10 rated of all time. Ever. Yeah. And, watching them, you could just tell that you were watching two of the best in the world in the ring because they're flying around on the turnbuckles, back in, flipping each other over. How well Ospreay sells it is beyond me. He can take a hit. And then Ospreay won with his classic hidden blade going into Stormbreaker, which Stormbreaker is such an insane fucking move.
I think Ospreay is one of the best wrestlers that I've seen in a long time. Every time I watch one of his matches, I'm really impressed.
Yeah.
And I just think in general as well, Not just because of AEW, but I think that WWE's rose a bit and got a bit better in the last couple of years in comparison. I think that the wrestling hype has been reignited in recent years. I feel like it died off a little bit. Maybe towards the end of the like John Cena era, when everyone was like, I love John Cena, and I think he's a massive legend.
When John Cena was the face of WWE, it fell off.
Yeah, and now I feel like WWE's caught up again. It's back to where it was pre. And AEW's this new beast that's doing really well. Not quite as well as people think it is. I know it just sold out Wembley pretty much, but the ratings are still pretty poor most of the time. But it's fantastic, the competition. And I just think for the wrestlers as well, it gives them so many options. Obviously, TNA is still floating about. Ring of Honor is still floating about. AEW has a really good relationship with those guys and New Japan. What's going on in the wrestling world is really good to see for anyone that likes the sport.
It is, yeah. And also, it's 1PW came out of administration in 2021 or 2022, I think it was. The show that I went to watch last year, was it earlier this year? Was the first show back? It was last year. Yeah, it was about October last year, I think. And so I think that's reignited UK wrestling because both Rev Pro and 1PW are back fully on it, which is fantastic because then we've got all these wrestlers. And it's clear that AEW are interested in UK wrestling because of what happened at the end of Rev Pro, where as Will Ospreay was giving his thanking speech saying, I didn't go to school, didn't pass college, and look, and he was saying how he went to college, his mum was a teacher, and all of the other ones passed, and he was the only one who failed, and he says, but look at me now, he says, I'm the only one making money from performing arts, and it was like, yeah, go on, lad. But this masked wrestler just came running out and just speared him, started beating the absolute shit out of him, and from height and build, I just immediately went, that's got to be Jericho. I was like, that's got to be Jericho. He starts taking his mask off. It's fucking Jericho at Rev Pro. Everyone loses their fucking mind because this is like his debut, essentially. He's not going to come back, I don't think. But it was just crazy to see. And then the Aussie boys came out and
Young Bucks
chased him off. I think, Young Bucks, yeah. They just chased him off the stage and just, it was a cool little...
Just a little Jericho cameo.
Yeah, it was the hype for the AEW match that they had together, which was the next day, which is All In, which we can talk about if you want.
I haven't even seen any of All In, but you can give me some education. But I wanted to say first, the one bit of All In that I did see, which I thought was really funny, Chris Jericho had Fozzy performing and him singing it whilst he was walking down the ramp. And I think that was the ultimate, like, oh, there's an opportunity here moment. Like, Fozzy are never going to play a stadium like that.
No.
He saw that opportunity and he fucking grabbed it.
Bro said Fozzy we performed Wembley. I mean, I don't know what to tell me. We played
Fozzy
it.
played Wembley, that's it, yeah. But what was the highlights of All In then?
I mean, All In, just to go into some stats of it because of how crazy of an event it was.
And for context, this is the biggest, well, you're going to say it, actually, I'll let you say it.
This is the biggest wrestling event ever, essentially, apart from some in Japan, paid wrestling event.
Right.
But I'll go through the stats, so this is the first pay-per-view event that AEW held outside of North America. So that in itself, the fact that they got such a big audience, pretty fucking huge. And this is the first pro wrestling event to be held at present-day Wembley as well. The last event was SummerSlam. 30 years ago, SummerSlam in 1992. So it was reported 80,846 tickets were distributed, and WrestleMania 32 in 2016 had 80,709.
Is that WrestleMania's lowest point, though?
No, that's the highest.
That's the most they've ever sold.
They sold more than WrestleMania did.
So that AEW event sold more tickets than WrestleMania's ever sold?
The highest selling WrestleMania.
Is that in tickets sold or attendees?
In tickets sold.
There's been more attendees at WrestleMania.
So commercially... WWE recognizes that WrestleMania actually had 110,000 or something like that. But actual sales, AEW beat them out by about 150 ticket sales, which must be such a kick in the dick for WWE.
They put a load of marketing into it. I kept seeing ads for it everywhere,
all the time, everywhere. And there was some event in Japan that's technically the biggest, the two events in Japan, but a lot of the tickets were free, so it's not really classed as a sale thing. But yeah, overall, it was a fucking crazy event. I caught 4 of the matches in total. The best one, 2 best ones. I mean, Stadium Stampede. I don't know if you heard about that. Did you not hear about that? So Stadium Stampede was the match where they were allowed to run around the stadium and just get into the crowd. There was a bit where they were in the royal box fighting each other, and it was just fucking insane to see because it's Wembley, and you know Wembley, and you've seen Wembley, and then seeing these guys clobbering the shit out of each other in the stands was fucking nuts. the reception like was electric.
The UK crowd for wrestling is so good, man. Compared to
so
the
sick.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure there's some places in America where it's really good, but the UK crowd is so hyped. And it's not just for wrestling. The UK crowd for America.
Here we go.
Jar Jar Binks. No.
Richard Nixon.
The UK crowd, even for American rappers when they're on tour in the UK, is more hyped than the Americans are when they get to see them. It's absolutely mental. Like the energy that's brought by UK crowds is unbeatable.
It's genuinely like, it's something else. And also, you can't deny that the fucking UK crowd loves a chant. They love a chant. They love chanting all the time. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Ba, ba, ba. This is when something good's happening. You just think, literally, the crowd just likes to say what they're seeing. That's all they're doing. But I think that also helps with the atmosphere, because if somebody's chanting next to you, you join in, then you feel that kind of, come on,
it's like that. It's like what I was saying earlier, that camaraderie in the moment.
Yeah, it is. So there was some fucking insane shit going on in the Stadium Stampede. Moxley took some skewers out of his bag, and then Penta took them off him and started hammering him into his scalp, which in Wembley again. It's just remembering that this is all happening in Wembley just blows my mind. There was Moxley attacking Orange Cassidy with a fork, scraping his scalp open with a fork, just blood pouring down his head. Loads of weapons in the ring, kendo sticks, ladders, barbed wire, chairs, skewers, screwdrivers, the classic kind of, the rough and tough weapons. Sue turned up in a van, which was hilarious. And then she... they got trays of cookies off her, so they all started fighting each other with trays, beating each other over the head with the trays of cookies. Claudio delivered 21 rotations onto Orange Cassidy, stood in the middle of the ring 21 times, man, and Orange Cassidy still made it out, just got straight back up.
I'd throw up.
And you wouldn't even be able to stand up, would you? The
I'd
blood
be dead.
would be in your eyes, like fucking. And it's scripted. Maybe
that's still the same. If that was happening non-scripted, it'd be exactly the same thing.
Exactly, yeah. And then Cassidy put some duct tape on his hand. He got a bottle and a bucket from under the stage, broke the bottle and the bucket, and then put duct tape in his duct tape hand in there, got glass on it, and then he finished with an orange punch. With the glass hand, and then pinned, and then won the match for his team. So
kind of disgusting.
It was so gory. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, there were bits where I genuinely cringed. And usually with wrestling, you kind of, you kind of go, oh, it's a bit gross. But with that, they were like the skewers. When he let go and they all spread out because they were clearly stuck in his scalp.
I saw that.
It was fucking insane.
It was bad, that.
But yeah, I think that was probably the best match of the evening, purely just because...
Just the mad stuff going on in one of the most famous stadiums in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean... just seeing, I think, stuff like that, like when you see the events that they do, when they have the Haunted House event and stuff like that, just seeing it not inside a ring is always interesting. There was Jericho versus Ospreay, which was hyped up from Rev Pro. Jericho's band came out to Judas. It was Judas, wasn't it?
Judas, yeah.
Which technically means he's played that.
Fozzy is shit, man.
Fozzy are terrible. Yeah, they are. But that one song's good.
They do that cruise as well, where it's like Fozzy playing and loads of wrestling matches.
What,
they do a wrestling
like the
cruise,
Parahoy kind of thing,
where there's like loads of heavy bands on and loads of like a wrestling show every night.
That sounds sick.
I'd do it.
That sounds sick.
I'd do it if they replaced Fozzy with literally anyone else.
Literally any other band ever. Yeah. Poor Fozzy.
Imagine if we got Jericho on the poddy one day, just beat the shit out of us.
Yeah. What have you been saying about Fozzy? Headliners for Leeds Fest, I reckon.
Oh, God.
His potential. After their performance at Wembley. Come on, bro. They played Wembley now.
Yeah, they sold
They're
out
big.
Wembley.
They did, yeah. It was cool to see Ospreay come out at Wembley with his elevated track that I'd heard at Rev Pro and 1P Dub, and it's never been played over these massive speakers. And for hear the crowd chanting and singing along to it was... I mean, he is the English wrestler. He's going to be huge. He's going to be worldwide. And this was his chance to prove it. And he won the match. So, I think personally what's happened is Jericho's found him. Jericho has basically said to himself, I'm going to make this guy what he is. I'm going to let him pin me. He's put the whole thing together and said, come on, we'll do this match. I'm going to let you pin me. I'm going to let you win. Because he wants then... not in an arrogant way, but to kind of say, I made that guy, because he knows he's going to pop off regardless. So he wanted to get in there first. And be like, you can beat me. You can, come on, beat me. Yeah. And then it'll be me that popped you off because you beat Jericho.
You knew he was going to be sick.
Of course, yeah. And I knew he was going to win the match. Everyone was like, I don't know, Jericho might take it. And I'm like, what would be the point in bringing in new blood to just have him beaten. Because
It's
then
true,
everybody would
it's
be
true.
like, what a shit guy. I don't want to watch this guy anymore. So lots of twisting flying about. Stormbreaker as usual. Ospreay won with his classic Hidden Blade Stormbreaker combo again. One of the best matches, but I was a little biased because it's Ospreay.
Did you watch the full match? The last few times I've seen Jericho wrestle, he seemed a bit slow.
No, yeah, Jericho. There was a couple of spots that you could tell were missed, and you could see that Jericho was lagging. And the thing is,
I get it. He's old. He's
an
still
old
better than most
bastard.
people at that age.
And I think the thing is as well is when you look at him, because he's old, he's got loose skin, and he's got an old man's body. He doesn't look toned anymore. He doesn't look threatening. And every time they go, and Jericho's the biggest threat in the industry, he's one of the scariest wrestlers, I just think, look at him.
Yeah.
Isn't he somebody's dad?
I remember back when I was proper into wrestling, Jericho returned to WWE, and I loved it. It was when he came out and he had that sparkly jacket on that had all the lights on, and he just and they built it up for ages, and he just came back and did. There was like these weird horror movie clips that were playing before, and they played on every Raw for weeks. And then Jericho just came out, and he came out and he walked around the ring, didn't say a word, had a mic, didn't say a word, stood in the ring for a bit and just left, didn't do all. And then they did that again. Oh, it was so.
I bet that was
so cool.
I love it when they tease the crowd.
And this was in his like heyday as well. Yeah. I mean, obviously his heyday was years before this, really.
Yeah.
But when he was still fantastically good as a wrestler as well.
I mean, he's still good.
Oh, no, he's
like,
still
watching
good.
him,
I'm not saying
good.
he's bad.
He's just sluggish.
Yeah.
You know, it was like Ishii seeing him in the Rev Pro. It was like he's old, and it's like they are.
Is that when you
slow.
see Cena now? You still love seeing him, but he's definitely slowed down a bit.
I never really like Cena.
Oh, I have a soft spot for him.
He's all right, but I think when he became the face of WWE, that's when it fell off. I think he was a bad choice to be the face.
Nah.
But that's a different conversation anyway.
Cena's the Make-A-Wish goat. Anyway.
Yeah, he is. He's a nice guy. I like him as a person, apart from his apology for Taiwan, being a little Chinese cook boy, but other than that. The main event, MJF versus Adam Cole. So they had a tag team match earlier in the night where they were on the same team. And then they had this main event and it lasted 32 minutes, I think, which is a fucking long fight. And there was so much insane shit going on. They did Cole did a brainbuster onto MJF on the metal stairs outside the ring. And I don't know how he didn't break his back.
AEW has a lot of these dangerous moves where I look and think, shit, how
they
does that
have
come
insane
off?
ones. And then MJF got Adam Cole on the commentator's table and nearly put him through it, but then he had like this storyline where he can't hurt him, where he's like he fights with himself and you can see he wants to cry and he's like, what do? I don't want to kill him, he's my best friend. And then all of a sudden Cole just gets up and then puts MJF through the table instead, but it's got a fucking support in it so it doesn't break. He just bang straight onto it, straight after getting a fucking brainbuster on a set of stairs. Insane. Canadian Destroyer followed by a head kick from both of them, and they both sparked each other out, laid in the ring for a little while. Double clothesline into a double pin, which is how the match ended initially, where they just went on top of each other, and because the shoulders were touching the match, he ended it. Mm-hmm. But then Cole was begging for 5 more minutes, and MJF said no. He said, I'm not doing that. And then he says, we're going till we get a winner here at Wembley. Hyping it up. Then the referee was down on the ground because Cole accidentally Panama Sunrised him off the turnbuckle. And then MJF did a little play where he got a chair out, then put it over his head and then lay on the ground. So then when the ref got up, he thought it was Cole that was being naughty. MJF started pulling out his diamond ring out of his shorts and then put it back away because he did the whole I can't do it to him. Roderick Strong came in for no reason, obviously because he's Cole's best friend, and then he kicked MJF out in the dick out of nowhere. And then Cole kicked off at Roderick and then basically said, fuck off, I'm not going to do what you want to do. MJF's my best friend. This is
it all turned bad.
Yeah. And then what happened is MJF was in the middle of the ring. He's sparked out and Cole rolled into him and then pinned himself.
What the fuck?
Let MJF pin him whilst he was unconscious kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah. So he let MJF keep the championship.
Oh, so they're friends in the end?
Yeah. And Roderick Strong came back telling Cole to hit MJF. Cole refused, threw the band down, and then they ended on them both hugging and saying, I love you, man.
Sick.
I would never do this.
Sick.
And it was such a... I wasn't...
I thought it would have all ended badly.
Yeah. I wasn't in the storyline prior to this. I understood that there was a bromance going on. They were the faces of AEW currently. But then seeing this the acting, MJF is fucking phenomenal at making it seem like he's actually battling demons. Like, bro's out there fighting these demons going, I can't do it. And then trying to listen to the crowd and ignoring him and all this shit. It were a fucking amazing match, like genuinely fantastic match. And
I think MJF's one of the best wrestlers about at the minute, and I think it's mainly due to this character he's built, and he sticks to it 24/7. Even no matter what,
even in interviews,
he's always a cunt.
Even communicating with kids, telling kids to fuck off, and then throwing that cup of water in that kid's face. That one time, he's just a fucking menace
on Twitter and everything. He's a menace, but I respect that, and there's not enough wrestlers like that.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, like proper
that build up
wrestlers.
that grand character that no one really questions anymore because it's just what they've done for years.
Yeah.
It's good from him.
But as a whole, the AEW event was fucking great. Like, really good production. You know, when the wrestlers were coming out, the fireworks were over Wembley, like going off the top. To see Ospreay with the fireworks, it was like, come the fuck on.
Yeah, for him, that must have been a massive moment. And I think it should mean, I believe they announced they're going to come back to the UK soon. I think they said at some point that they'll be back here.
I mean, of course they will.
They should. But I think in general for wrestling, the UK didn't get a massive wrestling event for 30 years. And then we've had 3 in the space of 2 years. We had Clash at the Castle, Money in the Bank.
Wales, yeah.
Because that was still big. That was like 70,000.
Yeah.
And then we had Money in the Bank this year and All In.
Where was Money in the Bank?
It was at a London Arena.
Oh, was it? Yeah, true.
So 3 big ones.
Yeah.
Hopefully at some point soon, WWE give us one of their 3 big ones, a SummerSlam, a Royal Rumble, or a WrestleMania.
I reckon a Royal Rumble.
I think they'd do a SummerSlam here, you know.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I could see that.
I mean, I don't know if it's 2016, did they do SummerSlam? Or was that the WrestleMania? That was WrestleMania, and that wasn't even in England. No, never mind.
What?
That's completely ignore everything that I just said. Ignore that whole thing. I was kind of talking it through in my head out loud.
Okay.
I don't know if SummerSlam's the best thing to come over to England, with it being an outdoor event. Usually,
AEW did it.
Yeah, I know. I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
You got to be lucky with the weather.
Yeah, I suppose. I think it's just a risky one for SummerSlam.
Or doesn't the Tottenham Stadium have a roof?
Maybe, yeah. But I mean, I'd love Royal Rumble. I would love
Royal Rumble would be unbelievable. Everyone loves that, and it'd definitely sell out. So WWE, come to the UK, bring a big pay-per-view, and we'll hopefully be there. I've not managed to catch any of them. I'm disappointed. Sure. I've been busy every time there's been a big one in the UK. I've gone all the way to America for Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, but I've not fucking watched them when they're here, or the big ones, because I would have been at AEW. But
well, I mean, the next one, next time AEW do an event here, I'm definitely going to get tickets.
100% up for that. 100%. One thing I wanted to end the episode on, because I thought it when you were saying something there. When I was like preparing for all the festivals and stuff this summer, someone said to me, they were like, yo, aren't you getting a bit old for this, Joe? And I was like, yo, I'm 23. At the time I was 22 as well. I'm only just 23. I know that means no one likes me, but I'm still allowed in these festivals. But it just got me, like, I thought to myself, right, and there'll probably be no one that even makes it to this point of the podcast, but if they do, I just wanted to say, like, no matter what it is that you're thinking about doing, just fucking go to the event.
The James episode, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
A little bit. Yeah,
but it's like, just go to the event and go enjoy it.
Do what you want to do.
Like, you're not too old. You're not too whatever you think is wrong with you. Like, it doesn't matter. Most people at any event don't give a fuck about anyone else. They give a fuck about having a fun time. That's what they've paid their money for. You go do it, and don't let no one tell you not to go do it.
Yeah, and I also think, like, in recent years, I've been more like this. You know, I've been more willing to, when I see an artist, just going, I'm just going to buy the tickets.
Yeah.
Even if I haven't got that much money left at that time of the month or this, that, and the other, because what I used to do in the past, I wouldn't have much money left towards the end of the month. And you'd think, I can't spend that on this ticket and that ticket, and I can't see that artist. But recently what I've been thinking is, I'll get the money.
The money's going to come
paid.
back, isn't it?
You know what I mean? When I next get paid, and I'll just take it out of that, you know, like, figure that kind of crap out. But I've got to the point now where I feel like I missed doing a lot of artists in my earlier 20s. So I'm kind of just, whenever I see somebody that I like now, I'm just like, I'll get tickets. I've got so many tickets coming. I've got so many gigs coming. You've got Prodigy and Slaves, Bone for Soup next year, Pendulum. Got Nothing But Thieves.
That's
Busted this month. But no, is it September? It will be. Busted this month, yeah.
Fire.
That'll be
Blink.
Cool. Blink next month, yeah, like fucking Front Bottoms. I've got Off Menu Live.
Story So Far are supporting Blink as well.
Are they?
They're fire.
True. Yeah. And Muir, supporting. I think it's Thy Art Is Murder or something like that. I've got
loads of stuff.
More
than I've ever heard you have.
Yeah, I know. That's what because I'm been in this mindset. The thing is,
I said I'm keeping it calm. Yeah, I'm off to see Hot Mulligan on Friday, Royal Blood next week, Dominic Fike the week after, Blink. I don't know what else.
I think I flourish more in the winter months. I think when it goes September through to like April.
It's quite nice to win it when you get in a hot, sweaty gig and you've got a pint in your hand in the winter months. And another point on my previous point as well, bring the vibe when you're there. Do you know, I didn't do this as much when I was younger. I was a bit embarrassed to be the one jumping about and stuff if no one else was.
Yeah.
Fucking do it, because everyone that's there, or at least a lot of people, are usually waiting for those couple of people that seem hyped and seem really buzzing. And you might feel like a bit of a knob at first, but if you want to be that hyped and want to be there having fun for one of your favourite artists or acts or whatever it is, do it. Because when I see people like that, when I'm watching bands that I like, I'm like, yeah, big ups.
Yeah, and then it hypes you up as well.
Like I hate it when you're at a gig and someone's getting annoyed at someone else for jumping around or having fun.
It's the worst fucking thing.
Like, I get it if someone's like screaming in your ear.
I've had a lot of people that are like, I've had that at a certain gig of a certain artist. There's two Scottish girls behind me. I'm the Healy, fuck me. I'm the Healy. That was the worst shit ever. But regardless of that, I think when you go to a gig and you stood around and you're looking mopey and you're thinking, oh, nobody else is enjoying this. If everybody else has that same fucking mindset, then nobody is achieving anything. The crowd's going to be dead as fuck. If one person starts bouncing, the people near to you start bouncing. I was watching, I think it was Joey Valance and Bray, and when they were asking the crowd, they were like, who knows us? 20% of the crowd put their hands up. But I noticed the people near to us, when I started getting hype, would start bobbing their heads or moving, which they weren't doing prior to me moving.
People feel a bit self-conscious. They're just waiting for that, like... It's bringing it back to that group of like everyone's there for the same thing. Make it as hype as possible. A lot of people don't get to go to that many gigs and stuff. No. It's like a rare opportunity. Go, get hyped, and never be mad at people for getting hyped. They're just there having fun.
I mean, I had one when I went to see Slaves, Soft Play, whatever, when I came up from... I finished work. I used to live in Stoke, and I finished work one day, and I drove all the way up to Leeds to see Slaves at the time, and then drove all the way back down and went to work the next day. It was like a 2-hour journey either way. Mm-hmm. But when I went there was this little, I want to call her a poison dwarf because she was a right bitch. And she was like, I don't know, she's probably about 5 foot in front of me, right? And when I say...
You were going to say she was 5 foot then after calling her a poison dwarf.
Yeah. She was about 5 foot in front of me. As in, she was about 5 foot in front of me.
So she was actually a dwarf.
She was... No, she's not actually a dwarf. She wasn't like a little. She wasn't like a little person.
Right, I was gonna say
she was just a fucking little annoying shithead, and everybody was having fun around her, and she would constantly push back on me and look at me and give me dirty looks and all this stuff. So then at that point, I took it upon myself to go crazier. I thought, you're gonna really do this, like in the middle of a gig? She was slap bang in the middle of the crowd, and you think if you don't like people bouncing around, if you don't enjoy people hitting into you, stand on the outskirts. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't then control the crowd because you're a little fucking sad ass who doesn't have any friends. You've gone to the gig on your own. Get to the fucking edges. Sorry, not sorry. It's just what needs to be done.
I mean, going to the gig on your own is fine. Do that as well.
Yeah,
but
if you're going on your own and you're
get hyped with the people, then if you want to get hyped, go in the middle. If you don't, then fuck off.
Because it makes me question, why are you even here?
Yeah.
If you're going to be in the for Slaves. You're going to get mad at people for moving. If it was fucking Coldplay or someone, you'd be like, fair enough, you want to stand and do a little bit of rocking. Slaves, the fucking punk band from, where they're from, Kent. Like, somewhere. It's going to be fucking insane, and it always is. So, yeah, stuff like that's very annoying.
But yeah, go have fun.
Go have fun. And enjoy yourselves.
It's fucking episode 50, bro.
It's episode 50. That's insane.
It's episode 50.
50 hours worth of bollocks is what we've put out, if not more than that.
I'd say 10 hours worth of bollocks.
Yeah.
There's a percentage that is. We're pretty prepared most of the time, but anyone that's made it to this point, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
and
thank you so much.
If check out the other episodes. If you fucking made it to this point in the episode, rate us on Spotify. And follow
we need those ratings. We're doing good with ratings. We just need more.
We've got a few. We need some more. Follow us on. We're on fucking everything.
Every platform.
Literally on everything. So follow us. Enjoy.
Everywhere. Enjoy.
Thanks.
Everywhere.
Peace.
Thank you. See ya.